friend of mine just recently got me a gift, and that is Bulleit bourbon, which I really enjoy. Now, the last time I had this Bulleit bourbon, it was in this really cool local bar called the Blind Lion. It's a speakeasy that's underground. It's in like a basement. They have like the cool Edison light bulbs with the guards on them. It's just like this really cool concept for a bar. I would show you guys footage of the inside, but you are not allowed to take a phone into the Blind Lion, or at least you have to keep it in your pocket while you're in there. And they had carved ice that they served in Bulleit bourbon. They had a big block of ice behind the counter. They carved out these ice balls and put them in a cup and then poured the Bulleit bourbon over the top of them. So I'm gonna try it this week to figure out how to make those ice balls. They were these beautiful, clear, perfect spheres. So I need to learn how to do that. So the first thing I'm gonna do is try to make a block of ice. And so best thing I found for that seems to be this loaf pan. It'll make a big block of it. I'll be able to cut it into blocks and try to carve it down to a sphere. So I'm gonna fill that with water and give that a try. Okay, this is all cracked and cloudy, and this is clearly not going to work. I don't know what happened here, but I'm going to have to try to find out, because this is really cloudy. There's these lines over here. There's a big crack in the middle. And if I pull it out, let's see. Oh, yeah, this doesn't look good at all. Shoot. Okay, so that didn't work very well. What I found online is that you can use distilled water, which I have some here. What you do is take distilled water, put it in a cup or ice cube tray, whatever you want to use. That produces clearer results than tap water, but it also says boiling it once or even twice makes even clearer results. So what I'm going to do is take these cups right here that are about the size. This is what I'll probably drink the bourbon out of. So I'm going to put normal or unboiled distilled water in one of these and put boiled once water in another one and boiled twice water in another one and freeze those three and see what the results look like tomorrow morning. Okay, the results were not great. This was boiled once, this was boiled twice. So I covered them with plastic wrap because it keeps out keeps stuff from getting in the glass. So this one was boiled once. It's clear in certain parts, like on the sides, but in the middle, it is not clear, and it cracked. It cracked the top, it's broken throughout the glass. It's not really that great. And the same is actually true, if not worse, in the boiled twice one. It's got a ton of cracks in it. There's not a big part of it that's clear for me to use, so this doesn't really work very well. I don't know what is wrong here. I'll have to look around online and try to figure out why. Okay, so last night I did a little bit of research, and here's what I found out. The reason why it doesn't work to freeze the amount of ice in a cup like this, or the pan I use, is because as it freezes from all directions, it freezes into the middle slowly, and it forces any impurities in the water into the center. So it's going to be clouded in the center no matter what. And also, as that water in the center needs to expand as it freezes, the wall that's formed by the ice around it is too constricting, and so it ends up cracking all the way through the ice. So you can't just freeze it like this without it cracking in the center. So what I found is actually a good solution is to take a mug or something that is insulated on all sides but one, to where it will only freeze from one direction. So any impurities in the water will freeze down to the bottom, and it will also expand into the bottom and push up instead of forcing like the ice to crack around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the double boiled distilled water, put it in my Yeti knockoff mug, and then try to freeze it. I guess it takes 24 hours to freeze, so it's going to take quite a while. But so that's going to be my next point of attack on this project. Since I have one here that seems like it'll stay relatively together when I take it out of the glass, even though it's cloudy, I'm going to try carving on this imperfect ice so that when I do get clear ice, I'll have a little bit more practice to give it a try. So right now I'm going to wait a little bit for this to get warmer on the outside so it'll come out of the cup, and then I'm going to try to carve it. For this, you don't want to use a serrated knife. You want to use a clean blade knife like this. And so I have this little, I don't know what this knife is called, but I have this little knife from the kitchen that I have gotten very sharp It's short. It seems like it'll be easy to manage, and I'm going to use this to try to carve the ice a little bit. So again, try to get it as sharp as you possibly can. So I got this ice chunk pulled out of the cup, and it's, like I said, even though there's cracks in it, it's staying together pretty well. It's not coming apart. So as you can see, there's parts of it that are really perfectly clear, but then there's that big crack, right, or that big thing right in the middle. It actually looks kind of cool, but so I'm going to try carving this right now. It's kind of easy to, shouldn't say it's easy, it's just a lot easier than I thought it would be to scrape it off. This towel is not, I guess, necessary for this, but it actually keeps my hand from getting way too cold. So that's kind of, that's a good reason to have a towel too. Jeez, my hand is already getting sore. So it's rounding out kind of nice already. It's going to take a lot of carving to get this right. I'm starting out pretty cautious with carving, but I'm learning that at the different angles that you hold the knife, you can take a lot of ice off in one swipe. There's kind of like a angle to hold it at for finer work and an angle to hold it at for more aggressive cutting. So one side of it is looking pretty nice and round here. It's really hard to take off a substantial amount of ice when you need to get like these corners down. You know what I saw? When I was at the Speakeasy, somebody use it was like a mini pitchfork with these 3 tongs that they would use to spear the ice. So I have like an old kind of crappy fork here. I'm gonna see if I can do anything with that. There we go. It kind of works for chipping off a good amount. It seemed to take off a pretty substantial amount there and round it out pretty well for me. Let's see how it carves now. Oh yeah, that kind of takes off a lot of it. All right, it actually turned out pretty cool. It's not perfectly spherical, but I like it. It's pretty nice. As you can see, like some of those parts are really clear. So that took about 8 minutes total to do that carving. So it does take a good amount of time, but I'm pretty happy with how let's get our cup. So if we were to use the same cup, it would be pretty good for, you know, the way it looked in the Speakeasy that night. It looks pretty similar. I like that a lot. It just, if the ball were clear on the inside, it'd be a lot cooler. So hopefully the rest of the ice turns out a little bit better. But yeah, that's kind of cool. So here we have the cups that I froze last night. This one here is boiled distilled water, but I used this other Contigo mug to try to just use normal tap water, because it sounds like freezing from one direction with tap water actually works just fine. And as you can see, it actually turned out pretty nice and clear. So I think if you're using this method, tap water would work just fine. Oh, hey, it came out. Wow. All right, so one side is perfectly clear, the edge near the top where it froze from the top down, but the bottom is still really clouded. So we do have a good chunk to work with there. That's good. So I guess our first step is to take a serrated knife like this and cut into the ice and then hit it with a little mallet not a metal mallet or you'll hurt your knife. And I guess it kind of cracks through the ice. So first thing we're going to do is try to set our knife in here. Maybe. This is the round piece out of my Yeti mug.
Perfect. Man, this one is, look at that. Just see perfectly right through it. That is so cool. It's crazy, like when you've never seen ice like this before, when you're used to it being cloudy, it just makes it so cool to see it so clear. There's gonna be water droplets everywhere, hon. Just so you're aware. Similar to the knife, this is kind of about finding the right angle to hit it with this fork. At first I thought you kind of hit it straight on, but I'm realizing you hit it more at this angle and it takes more off. Oh. Need safety glasses for doing this. There's really only one way to hold this that I can get it to cut very well as I've been experimenting, and that's to drag it, pull it towards my thumb. Pushing away from me or trying to hold it any other way doesn't really seem to work. That's pretty good, not quite the perfect shape yet, but we're getting there. That is cool. It's not perfect, but it is definitely up to my standards. That is so cool. Isn't that cool?
Very cool.
That is really neat. This one here is out of the water jug. This is about what the water jug yielded for ice, is this chunk right here. Way too big for one sphere. I think I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna wait and see what I can use that for. Have you ever had bourbon before?
I don't think so. It looks really cool.
You don't look like you're very excited.
Oh, I just know it's gonna be strong. I'm not used to drinking like straight alcohol, you know. Yep.
I'll drink that one too. Very classy. Nothing like bourbon at 7:50 on a Monday night.
Exactly. This is how we always celebrate our
Typical
Mondays.
Monday night around
Very
here.
typical. We usually have a few of these.
Very fitting that I wore my bow tie today.
All of your projects coming together.
Classy bartender.
You should have. I didn't.
No, I want to look like a classy bartender who just got off work, who comes home and makes fancy drinks for himself as well.
You need to include that.
So here's a strategy I found that works best. Use a 3-sided insulated mug like this. This is a pretty good size. It's a knockoff Yeti mug. It's Ozark Trail, and it worked really well. It takes about 24 to 48 hours to freeze down enough to get a good chunk of clear ice. The best method for a big chunk of clear ice is to use a water jug like this. This had a big chunk at the top that was best. I don't have the freezer space for a full cooler, but if you have a kind of lunch-sized cooler that you use, that would work. That would work really well too for getting a square chunk of ice. Lastly, I didn't show it in the video, but ice cube trays. I tried tap water and then double boiled distilled water, and the results were pretty much the same. There's still a cloudy part in the center. None of them were really that clear. When it comes to carving, just use a small, really sharp knife like this. Use your thumb as an anchor point, pull towards you, and the ice comes off pretty easy. Just takes some getting used to get the angle right. If you want to chunk off big parts of it, just use something like a fork and hit it at a, you kind of learn the angle as you go, and you can take off bigger chunks to round it off a little bit before you start using the knife to kind of clear up the rest. But that's about all the tips I have for this. So this was a long process of learning because I had to wait for ice to freeze every time. That's kind of why this video is a little late. I normally like to post on Fridays, but this took like 10 days of freezing, trying different things. So apologize for the late video, but I hope you guys liked it, and I will see you next week.